Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Sterling. Welcome to those of you here in person and those joining us online. My name's John Monroe, and it's my honor to serve this congregation as an affiliate minister. You know, I just loved the energy that I was feeling this morning as people were talking. It actually reminds me, I'm taking a Qigong class in Centerville. And, you know, there's this one particular, so Qigong, you know, is sort of the way it's done at this class is sort of a cross between Tai Chi and yoga. But there's this one particular motion. Let me demonstrate for you, and then I'll explain it. And I'm bad at this, but you can think. And I missed something there, I'm not quite sure what. But the idea is, you're gathering the energy up, and then you're sharing with the world around you. So you're kind of gathering that chi, you're focusing it, and then you're sharing it. And I thought, well, isn't that kind of what we do here? You know, we come here on Sunday and we sort of gather the energy of love, the energy, the passion for justice. We sort of gather that here on Sunday, and then we leave here and we share it with the world around us. What do you think? It's so wonderful to be with you today. So let us begin worship.
Good morning, everybody. I invite you all to stand as you're willing and able and sing with me. We Give Thanks, number 1010. Words will be on the screen. I think it's the same words in all verses, so we're going to go through it twice. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Thank you, everybody. Please have a seat.
Well, my voice gave out to me this week for me, so be patient. Welcome to this place of fellowship, peace, renewal, and deepening engagement and reflection. I'm Nancy Sherwood, and it's my honor to serve this congregation as a member of the Board of Trustees. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your identity, age, ability, or history, know that you are welcome to bring your full self here. If you're a visitor, we're so glad you're here. You're invited to join us for in-person fellowship or virtual coffee hour after the service. To learn more about UUCS or Unitarian Universalism, you are welcome to reach out to me. And turn the page. Finally, I invite you to share a greeting with those around you, both those you know and those you have not yet met. And now I'm supposed to ring the bell. Get this without falling. Hi, Jeff. Now, let us share worship with reverence and authenticity. You?
The words of our chalice lighting come from the Reverend Laura Dobson. We light our chalice in gratitude for the grace of mystery, for all the times we have stood in awe and wonder at the depths of our inner lives and the beauty of our outer lives, made one.
Our chalice hymn is When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, number 1008. Again, the words will be on the chart there, and we'll sing all three verses. Invite you to remain seated. Remain seated, please. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom of each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our stories from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and a God of our heart stirs within, and we see the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place. One more time. When our heart is in a holy place. Thank you.
when I picked that hymn, I hadn't realized that you had just sung it. But I probably would have picked it anyway. There's something about that hymn. And so while we were singing, I was thinking about it. And so I started thinking, well, what does it mean to say when our heart is in a holy place? And here's what I think. Our heart is in a holy place when it's sort of open to connection with the people around us. When it's open to the events of our lives. When we bless those around us, when we bless the world with loving regard, then our heart is in a holy place. And I love having that hymn come right before sorrows and joys, because that's what we're doing here. When we share our sorrows and joys, when we listen to what is shared, our heart is in a holy place. Why don't you put that in the water? Nice, thank you. The ritual of sharing our sorrows and our joys invites us to hear one another and to heal one another. You're invited to briefly share great losses or milestones. If you're in the sanctuary, if you can, come forward, share your name and your joy or sorrow. And if you're online, you can share your sorrow or joy in the chat box. Do we have someone who can check online? I can't. No. Okay. But if you're online, share it there and know that it is being seen and it is being held. And as joys or sorrows are shared, we'll place a stone from the dry bowl into the bowl of water.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to say I hope you're all doing well. Like a couple times back when I was here, I wasn't in a good place because I was going through a lot at the time. I just wanted to say I'm over that. I'm back in a good place. I got to go sing on Friday at open mic. I sang the song "Wake Me Up Inside" from Evanescence. It was my best vocal ever, and I'm showing improvement. And then I was like, "Hey guys, I just want to go dancing." And there's like a DJ night at like Green Tree, and I'm like, seriously? Gotta go. And I run down the road to Green Tree, and then I like dance with my friend Piano. I always call her Piano, but her parents named her Piano. She is in the music industry. She's a good friend of mine. We were dancing, and then and I had so much fun. It was great. And I'm not sad anymore. I'm like because for me, dancing feels like my soul breathing. And I'm just glad that I can do that stuff again. And things are working out. I'm going to be trying to get a job at Alamo Theater. And then I'm going to use the money from that to take voiceover classes. And then I'm going to try to work. And I have a goal. I'm going to try to work for X-Men 97, the Marvel show that also works for Disney. I'm going to aim for that. And I hope it works out for me. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much. You all make this world a better, brighter, more beautiful place. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Denise. I'm so glad to be back after being away for a while. I got to go to Maine, and now I'm teaching a camp, and it's exhausting. But at any rate, that is my milestone. I am 72, and I could teach this very rigorous camp, and I'm training somebody to take it over, hopefully slowly over time. And I also wanted to say we have some flyers to share later for anybody who's interested, witnessing for detained neighbors, and more information about social justice things. So please check with me afterward. I'll put some on the table in the back too. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Nancy Sherwood. You probably saw me over there a minute ago. I have a joy, I think. Many of you know my husband has prostate cancer, and they thought it had metastasized. Well, he had a bone biopsy, and it's a benign tumor, so he's going to be okay. He still has to do chemo. He starts tomorrow. And I have a little story. because of what's going on, he's getting calls from this one and that one, all these medical things. And he said, hang on, let me look at the calendar. Oh, I can't do that day. My wife has a date with death. Which is a group that meets at the church. I'm sure the guy on the other end of the phone was like ready to call the police. It's kind of fun.
Other joys or sorrows? All right, then we'll place one more stone for all those joys or sorrows that are held in the heart and too tender to be shared aloud. I'd like to share a poem by James Cruz. It's called Broken Open, which is broken/open. He writes, there is a difference between being broken and broken open. But we don't always get to choose which state we slip into during moments of pain. If simply broken, we must seek the help of those opened by their suffering, trusting that this is how we each take turns. And if blessed to be broken open this time, we must become like a tomato in late summer, having absorbed so much light and heat that it finally splits down the middle, and you see how birds flock to the crack in its skin, the seeds providing an urgent feast for all who come near. Now please join us in a moment of silence for prayer, meditation, or reflection as you feel called.
And now it is time for our Time for All Ages. And so I would like to invite the children or anyone who's feeling young of spirit this morning to come up for our story. And in the absence of any children, we may choose not to open the Wonder Box, but I put it to you. Open it, open it. All righty. All right.
Oh, wait, here.
So, we have a name tag. And circumstances under which we use name tags are when you want to introduce yourself because you're meeting new people. And so our story this morning is called Hello World. And it's not only a cute story, but it's got awesome illustrations. It's happening. You're moving on. Who knows what you'll find when you get there? Maybe buildings with banners or balconies with bird cages. Or there could be bases, bats, and balls, or benches, blankets, and barbecues. There might even be bobsledding. Every now and then, unfortunately, there will be boredom. No matter where you go, there is one thing you will always find: People. People will be everywhere. People with beards, people with braids, people with burqas, people with tall buns. People in ball gowns and blue jeans with black belts and maybe one or two in bell bottoms. And there will always be boys who belch, and some girls too. There will be people chasing butterflies and bystanders just being. Ballerinas on bicycles, buck-toothed girls and bashful boys, and bullies who bully. There will always be people who brag. But here's one thing. There's more to the belchers and the bashful and the bystanders than you think. There's more to everyone than you think. But how will you know? You'll ask. What do you know and how do you know it? What do you want and why do you want it? Who do you miss and what makes you miss them? Who do you love and what makes you love them? You'll become the best question asker the world has ever seen. And you'll find that the butterfly chaser may learn how to swim backwards, and that the buck-toothed girl wishes for braces. The ballerina misses her grandpa Benny, and the bashful boy loves his basset hound. The bystander bakes the best banana bread in town. The girl who burps wants to start a burp bottling business. And the bully was bullied. That's how he learned to do it. You'll say, how do you make your bun so big and tall? What do you do after you catch a butterfly? And after you back up into a bush or get busted for speeding, she may ask the bus driver. And the things they will tell you, oh, the things they will tell you. Surprising things, scary things, some very silly things. I bedazzled my bedspread. I have a bird tattoo on my bicep. I dreamt I was playing the banjo on a balance beam made of bacon. Oh, the people you will know. The people who will make you sigh and cry and cheer and wonder, think and rethink. People who will make you smarter and stronger, steadier and softer, bigger and better and bigger-hearted, and even more beloved than you have always been. Be brave, bravo, and bon voyage. So thank you.
It's now time for our offering. We have received freely of gifts that minister to the needs of our body and spirit. May we now gladly give a portion of that bounty. 2/3 of the cash offering will support our congregation. The remaining 1/3 will go to support our justice cause. This month it is Laws. Laws has provided free domestic violence and sexual assault services in Loudoun County since its founding in 1984. They offer emergency shelter, therapy, advocacy, support groups, legal services, and help to victims of violence. They also run the Loudoun County Children's Advocacy Center, helping those who have faced abuse or violence. You can also visit or donate to their thrift store, The Resourceful Woman in Leesburg. If you're in the sanctuary, you may place your donation in the baskets as they are passed. Online attendees can use the donate button in the virtual order of service. Donations may also be made by mail or via the donate tab on the UUCS homepage. There is a QR code in the printed order of service that leads to the donate tab if you have one. Please note when your donation is towards your pledge. Thank you for your generosity to our congregation and our community.
Thank you for playing that. That was beautiful. So the children's story was very appropriate, although Kim didn't know it when she picked it. Because what I want to talk about is once when I moved. So I think I've mentioned before, when I was 12, my dad joined the Army as a chaplain, and we got moved from Oregon to Georgia. And, that was a bit of a cultural shift, and especially at 12 years old, not the most kind of socially, kind of clued in person. It took a while to kind of adapt to the new culture. But the one thing in particular I had trouble with was, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You had to say ma'am and sir to all adults. And it's not that I disliked it, but it just wasn't how I was raised. And there's one moment in particular that still sticks with me. So I was in 7th grade, so it's our first year there, and I was in this social studies class with Mrs. Kennedy, who was a proper Southern person, very proper. And one day I had walked out of the class, and I just got down the hall a bit, and I realized, oh, I forgot my notebook. And so I turn around to go get my notebook, and there's Mrs. Kennedy, outside the classroom holding it up, and she says, "John, is this yours?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "That's yes, ma'am." Now, according to my mom, I have no memory of this, but according to my mom, I complained at home because I said, well, I'll give people respect when they deserve it. I hadn't thought about this story for years, but then I was reading a book by Jack Kornfield, who's a meditation teacher, and who, when he was young, for a number of years, he was actually a Buddhist monk in Thailand. And he was talking about how when he was a novice Buddhist monk, one of the things that he had to learn to do was bow. You had to bow when you entered the meditation hall. You had to bow when you entered the dining hall. You had to bow when you entered your own hut. Okay, that's all fine. But then you also had to bow to every senior monk, which for him was pretty much everyone. And he said he kind of rebelled against this because, some of those monks were kind of clueless, or they were just like overly proud, or they were just goofy. And so he really had trouble bowing to, he just was he had this inner resistance. But what he ended up doing was he realized, he had to bow. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And so he made it a practice to look for something that was worthy in each person that he met. And so he writes, "I honored the wrinkles around the eyes of a grumpy old monk and imagined all he had lived through. I saw the creative potential in a prideful young monk who at first just seemed full of himself. And I gradually noticed that every single being carries some aspect worthy of respect." Now, I will say, as I got older, I really learned to appreciate the value of showing respect to people who are older, to teachers, to whatever. I really get the value of it. But Kornfield, I think, provides a deeper understanding of respect, a form of respect that's not based on someone's social status, but on what, we would say is their inherent worth and dignity. And actually, David Gross, a philosopher, defines respect this way. He says, respect means understanding that other people have lives just as subjectively rich as our own. They have their own perspectives, goals, and desires. And here's the critical part. And our objectives, goals, and desires do not have priority over theirs. Do not have priorities over theirs. I like this definition because it reminds us to see people as they are, kind of in and of themselves, and not just in terms of how they relate to us, sort of in the social structure. And what it reminds me of is when I was young, and I would meet a teacher outside the school, and it was always so mind-blowing, and I'd realize, oh, this teacher's like a person. They're funny, they're warm, and they're not just like this utilitarian role. And that's what I think about, and it's like, oh, I can see that person now differently. And I think one person who really exemplifies this is Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. And I knew as soon as I decided to do this sermon, I was going to have to talk about Mr. Rogers. And the funny thing is, I'm a little old for Mr. Rogers. When I didn't really grow up with him. I think maybe for 1 year I watched his show. But I remember when he died, I think it was 2003, 2004, I ended up reading a lot of the articles about him. And the one thing that came out over and over again is how he respected everyone, how he took an interest in everyone, a sincere interest. I read an article by May Simon, who had actually spent time with Mr. Rogers and did an article on him. And she said this was apparent in every show he did. She wrote, whether a guest was 4 or 40, Latino or Asian, in a wheelchair or standing tall, Fred celebrated every person as a special human being. And when she says he celebrated every person, what he did was he met them where they were. And one of the famous episodes is when he had a child who was in a wheelchair on the show. And he did not treat that child as an object of sympathy, but instead he took a sincere interest in saying, what is the world like for you? How do you experience the world because you're in your wheelchair? And it was sort of a groundbreaking moment on TV to treat a child, meeting them where they are and just taking a sincere interest in their perspective. And this is what Simon really capitalizes on, and this is why she was writing about him now, because she said, whether he was on screen or off screen, he did this with everyone. He took a sincere interest. He asked probing questions, and he listened to the answers. And Simon believes that Mr. Rogers, in a sense, showed us how we can make connections based on our common humanity, even with people that we disagree with. Even with people that we disagree with. And I think that point is essential because we can see what happens when there's a lack of respect. It's so easy to fall into that trap of disparaging people who don't share our political views, who don't share our cultural values. The social psychologist Daryl Tongren said, you can really see this or you can hear this in our language. He says we don't talk about people. Instead, we talk about the left, the right, or them or others. And he says that in doing this, we stop remembering that they are children or parents, siblings or friends, partners or employees, that they are real humans made of the same stuff as you and me, just as alive and precious and beautiful as we are ourselves. I think if we prioritize respect, if we prioritize respecting people in this way, it can be very subversive. It can empower us to challenge attitudes or social conventions that are at the root of injustice. It can empower us to challenge laws in public institutions. Because one sure sign of injustice is when our society, our communities, our public institutions give respect to one group of people and deny it to others. A disparity of respect. And this is whether it's people of color, immigrants, ethnic or religious minorities, LGBTQ community. This is where we see respect playing a role, because whatever our identity, our task is to ensure that our communities, our public institutions, our leaders recognize and respect the full humanity of all people. This is at the heart of our social justice work. In a way, respect is a litmus test of support, because anytime we see people being treated with a lack of respect, we know there is work to be done. We know there is work to be done. As soon as people start dehumanizing others, either injustice is in play or it will be, guaranteed. Now, as I mentioned earlier, respect is sort of connected with, the idea of affirming the worth and dignity of everyone. And I will say I love our first principle. It's part of what really drew me into UU. But I've also kind of, over the years, I found that it feels a bit abstract, right? Sort of a very kind of highfalutin up here. We affirm the worth and dignity of everyone. I think the idea of respect is kind of inherently more personal. It's not a principle. It's a practice. It's something that we can live out every day with every person we encounter. And in a way, this is kind of the connection between sort of the public and the personal. Because, yeah, I can say we need to make sure that our institutions, our communities, our government respect the full humanity of everyone. But really, we need to live this ourselves. It don't work otherwise. And so what I'd like to do is offer just 3 practices that can help us do this. 3 practices. And so the first one is from Rabbi Joseph Telushkin. So Telushkin says that the Talmud teaches us that we should be the first to extend greetings to every person we meet. We should always kind of make a point of being the first to extend a greeting to everyone we meet. And Telushkin says, the rabbi says, well, we think about this maybe in social settings, but he said, why don't we do this in restaurants with the person who is serving us? Or why don't we do this in the grocery store with the cashier? And he says, basically, it's a matter of actually, well, okay, if you're like me, I have a tendency, so when I'm in the grocery store, standing in line, I can kind of zone out, right? And it's like, maybe look at my phone and not really pay attention, and I don't really see the cashier necessarily. Or that's been a case for a lot of my life. But recently, I've really been making the point of seeing the person in front of me, and that's what Telushkin is talking about. It's just show an interest, to make small talk, say your name, just extend a greeting, just kind of make that connection. And Telushkin says this act of good manners will change the encounter. Instead of being an encounter between an anonymous server or cashier and the patron, it'll be an encounter between 2 cordial, mutually respectful human beings. So that's the first practice. It's just see the person. Just see the person. All right, second one is from Jack Kornfield, who I mentioned earlier. And what he suggests is that we take one day and we commit ourselves to trying to see the inner nobility in 3 people. Okay, and so inner nobility, what he means is really kind of seeing that kind of full humanity, seeing that this is someone who has a life just like our own. They have their perspectives, their goals, their desires, just kind of seeing that humanity in 3 people. And he suggests, doing it, maybe where you live, where you work, someplace where you go, where you can kind of let it kind of change how you interact with them. And he says if we carry that intention in our heart as we speak or work with them, we'll notice how this perception affects our interaction with them, how it affects our own heart, and how it affects our work. And so again, seeing the inner nobility, it's like just trying to look at someone without the labels that we might put on them, just sort of intuitively, and just try to see them as they are. Okay, so that's number 2. So number 3, which is from David Gross, the philosopher I mentioned earlier, and his is sort of a combination of the first 2. And what he encourages us to do is practice active empathy with others around us. And what he means by that is, okay, so let's back to the grocery store, standing in line. He says, look at the cashier, discreetly, of course, don't leer, just sort of observe the cashier and start to kind of imagine what they might be experiencing. Do they appear relaxed or do they appear tense? Does it seem like they've been standing for a long time? Are they kind of adjusting? Or does it look like they maybe had a break recently and so they're, kind of feeling kind of easy? And you might ask, how's your day been? And how do they answer that? Not just their words, but kind of their tone. He said that this kind of empathy can help us see others more clearly, to really, like Cornfield said, to kind of see their humanity. And that the more we practice it, the easier it will become to see that humanity. So those are 3 practices. And I think, some of us might feel more comfortable with one or the other than the others, but I think the point is that we make respect almost a spiritual practice, where we go out of our ways to really see people, see each other as we are, to whatever extent we can. And I think that when we do this, not only will we kind of show respect, but we can really experience reverence. Reverence. The psychologist Dr. Keltner says that reverence is a feeling of respect and gratitude for the things that are given. Respect and gratitude for the things that are given. I love that, because it's one thing to say, to kind of in our hearts to say, yes, I respect this person. I see their full humanity. But let's take it another step further and be grateful for it. Be grateful for the people in front of us. Be grateful for the humanity around us. And Keltner says that reverence like this can enrich every dimension of our lives. He writes, we revere birth. We give thanks for food. We honor those who marry. We pay homage to the dead. We bow our head in appreciation of the kindness of strangers and everyday generosity. I believe that if we can feel respect and gratitude for one another, if we can feel respect and gratitude for everyone around us, this is the foundation for a more just and loving world. May it be so. Amen. I want to mention one other thing. We were supposed to have an anthem. Chris was going to do a recording of the song Respect, which she actually sang at the last service I did, talking about feminism. And I realized, we have to do the song again, right? I'm doing a sermon on respect, and the song even spells it for us. But she, some voice troubles, and so she wasn't able to record it. But I do want to share a story behind it. Because after I asked Chris, I wrote to her, I said, hey, it's time for a reprise. And then I thought, well, I want to learn about this song. And so I started reading about it, and it's a wonderful story. So the song Respect was actually written by Otis Redding. You may know Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. And it was a big hit for him. But then Aretha Franklin, who was 24 at the time, heard it. And she thought, I want to work with that. Well, the funny thing is, when Otis Redding sang it, it was really a song about a man coming home from work, a hard day at work, and just wanting to be treated with respect at home. Aretha Franklin took that and changed a few pronouns, and it became a song about demanding respect where it's not necessarily given. And, it's interesting, one critic mentioned that, kind of the power of the song comes from not just Aretha singing it, demanding respect for herself, but when her background singers, she sings with them. And then it becomes about demanding respect for all women. That's subversive. And it's said that Otis Redding, the record company, played her song for them, before it was released. And he's like, she stole my song. And he understood. He actually understood. He's like, yeah, got it. So anyway, I just wanted to share that story.
Thank you, John. As we prepare to conclude our service, I invite you to reach out your hands and hearts into the space of this community to join in a virtual circle inclusive of all. But first, let us extinguish our chalice while we carry forth its light in our hearts. Please join in our covenant. This congregation is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences and beneath all our diversities, there is a unity that binds us together and makes us one in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity.
So I mentioned Jack Cornfield and the idea of seeing the inner nobility of three people. He actually suggests that we go further. That, we do that, we pick the one day, focus on three people, and then we kind of keep building that muscle and, get into the practice more and more of seeing the inner nobility in all of us. Because he says when we do that, it's going to change us. It's going to help us treat other people with love and respect. He says basically, when we get really good at this, it's like we're the Dalai Lama undercover, going out into the world. And so that's my benediction for us today. May we go forth like the Dalai Lama undercover and love this world. Amen.
I have a few announcements. As you enjoy your summer, we invite you to collect a small amount of water to bring to our annual in-gathering ceremony in September. Gather water from a place or moment that holds special meaning to you. Together, our shared waters symbolize the journeys and experiences that reunite our community each fall. All are invited to join us for a Congressional Startup Potluck on Friday, August 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. for an evening of food, conversation, and shared vision as we begin a new chapter together, led by Reverend Tyler Coles, transition lead for the Central East region. A sign-up genius link is available in Illuminate if you would like to contribute an item, beverage, or food dish. Join us for the next Date with Death Club session, Good Life and Good Death, on Wednesday, August 26th from 1:30 to 4 at UUCS. Whether you're returning or attending for the first time, everyone is welcome for this thoughtful and engaging conversation. To learn more about the program, visit their website. The link is available in Illuminate, or contact Reverend Kara. We hope you enjoy us. And we will be having a virtual coffee hour.
And I invite everyone to stand as you're willing and able to join in singing Building a New Way, number 1017. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed meet our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, and actually, at first, no virtual coffee hour. We don't have a laptop. But second, let's do something. Okay, I talked about bowing. What I would like us all to do is let's bow forward, not to me, but bow to this congregation. And now go in peace. Oh, yes.